From the information that Alanez has gleaned, he believes that the appearance of his genitals and chromosome testing were ambiguous. A choice would have to be made. Boy or girl?
When a child is born with ambiguous genitalia, doctors measure the erectile tissue, which is the part which is going to fill with blood and get hard and end up being a phallic structure or not, either a phallic or a clitoral structure. So if we're thinking about assigning the child as a male, if that structure doesn't measure to be more than an inch, this big, more than an inch, then that structure can be cut upon and reduced to be made into a clitoris, because if it isn't this big or bigger, then it's not going to function as a male. So it has to be made smaller so it'll function as a female. If we're looking at female assignment and the clitoral structure, the erectile tissue in the clitoral structure is longer than a ½ inch, it has to be cut down too, because then it would be offensive. It would be too big of a clitoris. And we have to make it smaller so that it wouldn't be offensive to the future male partners of that assigned female.
Alanez suspects that at birth, doctors thought he had a long clitoris. Rather than cut it back, he believes the doctors eventually made it into a penis and assigned him male. According to theory, if this surgery was kept secret, Alanez could be taught to be male, and he'd grow up with a healthy gender identity. This idea that infants can be assigned a sex and that gender can be learned can be traced back to a man named John Money. John Money was a psychologist and sex researcher who thought children are basically gender neutral at birth. So gender was something that could be taught. A child could be taught to be male or taught to be female, as long as parents continually reinforced their gender.
Now, like any good scientist, Money was looking for an ideal opportunity to be able to test his theory about learning gender. And an accident occurred in the case of newborn twin boys, where there was a short in the wall of an electrical instrument that was used to do circumcision. And what happened was, instead of there being a small amount of current, there was a jump, and there was a tremendous amount of current, and the entire penis was destroyed instead of just being circumcised in this one boy. This case came to the attention of the institution where John Money was working, Johns Hopkins, and John had the cure. He knew what to do with these newborns, and they became his famous case because John believed that he could teach gender. This child, who had been born an identical twin male, could now be made into a female surgically and taught to believe that he was female and would grow up believing that and would function as a female. So we have identical twins. It's a perfect scientific opportunity.
To preserve anonymity, Money named the child Joan. And for years he published papers touting that Joan, born a boy, had become a healthy girl. But what he put in print didn't mesh with reality. Later it was learned that the child wasn't happy and never identified with being a girl. In her teens, she returned to being a boy. His name was David Reimer. Throughout his life, Reimer struggled to heal the emotional scars he suffered. The sense of betrayal, of being lied to. Reconstructive surgeries to rebuild his penis were a mixed success. At the age of 38, Reimer killed himself. When the truth was learned about Reimer, Money's reputation was badly damaged. But his theory that gender can be learned is still practiced when it comes to intersex children. In the United States, it's estimated that 5 intersex surgeries are performed every day. In some circumstances, the health of a child is at risk, but that's not always the case. Critics say most surgeries are elective and cosmetic. The goal is to assign sex and normalize genitals. Proponents of these surgeries believe they can alleviate emotional stress on parents. It's also believed that intersex children will be spared the emotional hardship of growing up different, and that they will adjust to their assigned gender if properly reinforced. DeVore strongly disagrees with elective surgeries. He's among a growing number of professionals who think they come with a high cost. According to DeVore, these procedures can greatly reduce sensation in genitals, which can thwart a healthy sex life and chances for intimacy. Lying to children and assigning gender can also lead to a deep sense of betrayal, mistrust, and depression. And DeVore believes all this trauma is unnecessary.
It's all about appearance. These kids are born normal. They are healthy. There is nothing medically wrong with them. All of the surgeries that almost all intersex kids go through are about plastic appearance. It's about plastic surgery to create a different genital appearance. Nothing to do with their health, only to do with normalizing their genitals as male or female.
As a young intern, DeVore even went as far as to work in John Money's lab in an attempt to change Money's views, but his efforts were unsuccessful. DeVore's mission is deeply personal. That's because he was born intersex. At birth, DeVore exhibited a condition known as hypospadias. With hypospadias, children have a penis-like phallus, but instead of being plumbed to urinate from the tip, the opening can be found along the shaft or even at its base, sometimes giving genitals a more feminine appearance. In DeVore's case, the doctors thought they knew what to do.
My parents went through this consultation with the doctors, and they were told, he's a boy, 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 and we're going to make him a boy. And everything will be fine. And he'll never know, because we're going to do all these surgeries when he's really young, and he won't remember it. Everything will be okay.
At 3 months, DeVore underwent his first surgery, and they continued throughout his childhood, scarring him both physically and emotionally.
The theory that the doctors tell us that these intersex kids will just kind of grow up through this and everything will be fine, that's not true. It isn't a memory that goes away. Remember the infections that happen month after month after month from the botched surgeries. These aren't things that kids don't remember. These are things that kids grow up with. And unfortunately, and in my case, it's true too.
To date, DeVore has had more than 20 surgeries. Based in part on his personal experience, DeVore would like to see elective surgeries on infants stopped. And there are signs that the tide may be shifting. In 2006, the official journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics published a consensus statement recommending a more cautious approach to surgery. For Rudy Alanez, emotional scars run deep. He feels his parents betrayed him, and he harbors mistrust and strong resentment toward the medical community.
Anger's not the right word. It's called hate. I hate what has been done to me. I was butchered so that people could accept me.
Today, Alanez is trying to move forward with his life. While many questions remain unanswered, Alanez has decided to embrace his female gender identity. She's changed her name from Rudy to Kaylana. She's studying to become a nurse. And she's considering her options for sexual reassignment surgery.
I'm getting there. I'm a lot happier than I've been in ages. I think the reassigning part is about making me happy. I'm not so worried about what other people think. I'm not ashamed.